Hello everyone and welcome to episode 50 of the NTS Podcast. We're lucky enough to be joined this week by Arag0rne. Arag0rne, how's it going?
Hello guys, it's going really fine.
Good stuff. And we're all having a good Valentine's Day. Tom, I didn't get the flowers or the card. Were they?
Oh well, they're on the way. It's just shipping. It takes a little bit of time. So
okay, that one.
Hopefully the flowers are okay by the time they get there.
We'll see. Anyway, let's crack on then. We won't dwell on that. Obviously, it's all just it's all just capitalist now. This holiday, isn't it?
Is this the route the podcast is going through today? Yeah.
Yeah, already. Well, let's kind of get into it then with yourself, Arag0rne. I won't just sit here and joke with Tom about cards and roses. But for those that haven't seen much of the podcast before, what we usually do when we have someone on for the first time is kind of go into a bit of the background and kind of see what your route has been through esports and how you got to where you are now. And you yourself, obviously, currently the coach of Granit Gaming.
Yes.
And one thing I noticed as well, and this is similar to, we had ATL on a while ago, who was the coach of events before obviously they disbanded, and he had kind of a similar thing I think to you, where he's someone that had kind of got into coaching but hadn't been a player first, which I think you find usually people kind of finish with the playing days and then move into coaching. But from what I could tell, am I right in thinking you weren't much of a player to begin with? Did you kind of just get straight into coaching, or how did that really happen?
Okay, so I will expose myself right now. I have never been above platinum in E West. Okay, but I deserve to go at least Diamond 3.
Okay, well, it's diamond. It's okay.
No. So I was never a player. Okay, let's just say I never had the setup because I always had terrible internet. But there was a time where I actually wanted to be a player. I think it was like 4 years ago. But since I had so terrible internet and not a real computer, I said to myself, okay, I want to get involved into the scene. So how can I get involved if I can't play the game? Let's decide coaching, I guess. So I started coach 3 years ago, approximately, in a Greek team that didn't play in any league. We were just playing a tournament to get the right points or something. And the reason I started coaching is because I really like coaching. I actually study coaching. So I like coaching and I like League of Legends, so I guess I combine these two. And after that, I just coached in some other small teams, and then I went to the German scene and coached for almost 1 year in the second division there. I actually won one split with Gamer Legion. Then I transitioned to the NLC, but I didn't came straight up to the NLC. I signed with Granit for the LCC split, which was kind of the off split in Sweden, and now it is like the second division. And I think many people don't know that actually, but we had the same roster as we have right now with Granit in that split, besides top lane, and we actually did pretty well. We went 18-0 undefeated in the regular season. Then we won the finals as well. So
nice. Yeah. So when you were with Granit then, and you said you had that team already, so was that kind of expecting to still be in the Swedish league? Because obviously the Granit got promoted when Ents dropped out. So was that?
Yeah.
Was there?
We had everything planned out for the Swedish league, besides top lane. And one day we just get the notice that we are actually in NLC. Then we have to. I mean, we kept the roster, yes, but it wasn't certain that we would do it. We just discussed a lot, and that was our conclusion, I suppose.
So there was sort of a discussion to see if you might sort of change anyone. I suppose at that point it would have been a bit harsh to drop a player or put sort of bench them to get someone
sorry,
else in.
We're in the NLC now.
It would have been hard for the players, for sure.
Yeah. And I suppose even at that point it was quite late in the day as well, so maybe there wouldn't have been that many options available with who to even get in.
It was quite late, but it wasn't late enough, that's for sure. We had options to get other players, maybe not the players we wanted to, but I'm overall content with the roster we brought up to the NLC.
Yeah.
I don't think many people believed in us, but I believe that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to come to. So what were the kind of the thoughts then when, or I suppose maybe did you expect the tier list to kind of have you where you were?
Yeah, of course.
So it wasn't a huge surprise.
No, at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you'd be surprised to know that we put you in A tier in our tier.
Oh, yes.
No,
I
so
remember.
yes, it's we made the analogy, and we've recently made the analogy with Granit as a whole, that like it's very much kind of what the opinion we had of Godsent last year, where we found these players and we were like, oh, we know nothing about them. They've kind of just been promoted. Surely, the level of quality can't be there. And then immediately in like the first few games, it is proven wrong. And it's like, actually, there is definitely a reason why these players are in the NLC. And so like, obviously we'll probably talk about a little bit about that, later on, but I just kind of want to see, like, why did you choose to kind of even coach Granit in the first place? Like, what was the enticement of coaching Granit?
So the first thing is I really like to work with rookies. That's something I really enjoy, actually. And I'm not doing coaching for the money. I just want to enjoy myself, first of all, and then whatever comes, it's fine. But yeah, the chance to work with 5 rookies, even in a league as low as LCSC, was pretty appealing to me. And I also wanted to work with some people that were in the org in the first place. And yeah, we sat down with Most Wanted, we discussed our ideas, which were very close together, and we agreed, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So then, maybe kind of going into week 1 then. So like Tom said, I think we even said it on the tier list. I have a feeling we might have even mentioned like we could like imagine there just being like the new Godsent, and we'll just look like idiots again. I'm kind of glad it wasn't just us. We weren't the only tier list that did the same. But then coming into that first match against Godsent, did you kind of see that as maybe even like a perfect start to be able to sort of silence everyone? Because I suppose Godsent, even though everyone would have had them on paper above you guys before the beginning, it was someone else that was kind of at least a bit lower down the expectations in that group. So do you feel that was like maybe even a perfect kind of game to start with, one that you did feel even straight away you had a decent chance to win?
Oh yeah, we totally thought that we would win that game. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the game against Godsent, was more us punishing their mistakes and their over-aggression in the early game instead of us actually dictating the game. I think the biggest reason we won that game was, first of all, because we had no stress at all. I don't know how that happened. I honestly expected us to be stressed because we're talking about 5 rookies, right? And 2 of our players were even solo queue players 3 months ago. So I totally expected the choke to come at some point, but it came pretty late in the split. So I think that game with Godsent, we won because they underestimated us so much, and we didn't choke. I think these were the 2 biggest factors of our victory.
So do you feel, because in that same week was XL, the second game as well, and obviously you did lose that one, but I remember it being a lot closer than kind of everyone thought. Even when everyone saw you guys beat Godsent, he still kind of had the idea of, well, XL should just wipe the floor with them anyway. But it was pretty close. And do you feel like even XL still had maybe been underestimating you, and maybe were a bit kind of cocky in that sense as well, or was it your guys sort of playing better in that one?
I think they underestimated us for sure. I can say they didn't, but not to the extent that Godsent did. I think they went there with their draft. They drafted full early game to punish the inexperienced rookie players. They even did the level 1 invade, which we expected, kinda. And I think when this thing happened in the early game, they were like kind of, okay, that happened, it's really nice, now let's just play our lanes and eventually we will beat them because we're better players. I think that's how they thought, but maybe I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they kind of slowed down the game when they should accelerate a lot, which gave us spaces to farm and scale a bit. And eventually we came into a point where we actually punished their over-aggression instead of them doing this to us with their. And I don't know if you guys have the game in your mind right now, but I think when we killed them on top lane near Baron, then we went to Drake, like based on the 2 compositions, we should never have fought that Drake. But just because of what happened earlier, we thought that we could actually do it, but in reality we couldn't. And this is where they heavily punished us. I think we all died, and after that fight, the game was not winnable anymore because, yeah, they are XL. They will not let us breathe after that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the point with, especially what we've seen with the academy teams as a whole, like, and particularly we've seen in that Granit game right at the beginning is once like, XL were looking shaky, and XL have never really been perfect in the early game, pretty much for most of this split, really, apart from like coming close to the end. But the issue is that once kind of a mistake has been made, it's so difficult to kind of gain that lead back and gain that momentum back, because it seems these academy teams, both of them, just seem to snowball these mistakes. And then once one kind of big one has happened, that's really it. And it just finds it so difficult to kind of get out. I think what I want to kind of chat about, if it's okay with you, Lee, is kind of the momentum of having kind of a full squad already, or quite a lot of the squad already. And kind of how do you think that kind of helped in the early kind of games, and was it kind of a positive, considering we were just talking off air the fact that this is the last week of the regular season, and so it's quite a short kind of week overall. So how much kind of prominence is it, the fact that you can have that already synergy going into the split to begin with?
That's a difficult question. I think synergy always helps, but not particular at this point, because we can argue that our synergy helped us in the first 3 or 4 games, because, as I said, we played one split together before, and the other teams didn't. But now I think every team has pretty much caught up to our synergy level. But maybe I'm wrong. I can't really talk so much about the other teams. It's just what I see as a spectator on their games.
And I suppose even the fact that, like you said, in that kind of previous tournament, if you were completely unbeaten and won playoffs and everything, then it may even be just sort of a confidence that could have helped as well, if anything.
Yeah, of course it helped.
Yeah.
But also, I think what also helped in that regard is that we go as complete underdogs. I think if we were placed like, let's say, 3rd place or 4th place in the tier list, which would not be justified in my opinion, obviously, we would have some sort of anxiety going into these games. That's for sure. And yeah, like, when we go into the first game with that kind of attitude and we win, then we go to the second game with the same attitude and we also play really well, besides losing. This also helps a lot on continuing the season. And I think against Dusty and Godson, we also went with that kind of mentality, and it helped us for sure.
Well, then that's kind of something I maybe want to touch on as well. So when you kind of looking more into week 2 then, was when you beat Dusty and Nordavind. And at this point, because people, maybe kind of joking about and things, but with Sahira at this point, like, obviously is Viktor especially, those, I think, is it Viktor he's played in every win, or I don't remember if one of them was Ryze.
Yeah,
but
he played Ryze in the first game and Viktor in the other games.
Yeah. But then, by this point in week 2, like when it got to the point he played Viktor against Dusty and you beaten them, and that was when their full lineup was playing now. And then Nordavind came up next, and they still let it through. And I was thinking at that point that, like, the teams are just being, it seemed like, too cocky to even kind of keep letting him, just the fact that letting Viktor through the draft every time. So do you think that could even be maybe that they were just still underestimating you as a team? Or I kind of wondered if it's the thing where you kind of hear sometimes about players saying that, if someone's got an unorthodox pick, that players could be kind of like cocky playing against it. They'll say, "Oh well, he's good on it, but it's not actually good. Trust me, I'll be fine against it. You can let him pick it, and I'll still be all right." And then they kind of let it through, and then he still just, not necessarily single-handedly wins the games, but obviously has a good impact on it. So do you think it's maybe the fact that teams are still underestimating, the whole team as a whole, or just the fact that the players maybe being a bit cocky, thinking that they could be the one to beat as Viktor?
You're talking about week 2 specifically, right?
Sorry?
You're talking about week 2 specifically, right? Okay. I think, obviously, I can't be in the mind of the enemy coach. I can just assume. I think Viktor was not the reason they lost that game. I think both teams underestimated us a lot in team fights and coming into these games. And I don't even think Viktor is such a strong champion, in the hands of Sahira. Maybe it is really strong, but still, I think they could either ban the Viktor or leave the Viktor open, play around it, which they did. They did the second thing I mentioned. But yeah, like especially in the game versus Nordavind, Viktor made some really insane plays, which I'm not sure if he could do them with other champions. Like,
I remember, I think it was the Nordvin game, especially, wasn't it? It was like the ult over the wall or something like
Yeah,
near Drake.
over the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing I kind of wanted to mention, because in those wins, everyone's like obviously focused on the Viktor, especially in obviously I think focused on Sahira, especially because like the interviews and stuff he was doing that I think has kind of popped off on Twitter a bit. But one thing I wanted to ask you is if there's anyone that you think especially has kind of gone under the radar from Granit, maybe that deserves a bit more of the praise than perhaps they've been getting. So I noticed, especially in those games, I think it was Michigu in week 2 had, I think, played Jin both games, and you know he had a lot of kills as well. And so do you reckon there's anyone that's maybe not getting the credit that they deserve?
I think they all don't get it the credit that they deserve. But I think especially Michigu, that guy played so well mechanically all the games, and especially the game with Jin against Dusty. The last fight was so insanely played by him. I thought it was actually reckless play. Not gonna lie. But yeah, like also Tamos played really well in the first week. And this is exactly what you mentioned. He went so much under the radar because we picked Arag0rne, I think, as an answer to Gnar 3 times, which is not so good matchup, obviously, for the laning phase. But he managed to keep it up and not fall behind in laning phase against people like Kerberos and Flaxis. And then he played so well the team fights with Arag0rne. So yeah, I think everyone deserves more credit than they actually got in the first 2 weeks, but especially Michigu and Tamos deserve a bit more, let's say.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like maybe now is even sort of the perfect time for them to get that kind of credit. Because if we start looking at the last couple of weeks, where obviously, you know, unfortunately results haven't been quite going your guys' way, but I'm pretty sure like more or less every match, Ryze and Viktor have both been banned away. So it's, you know, even the fact that obviously teams aren't letting it through anymore, but then at the same time that, you know, that's 40% of the bans are eaten up just for those 2 champions that teams feel like they have to ban now. Do you reckon that could, or maybe without sort of leaking any strats or anything, but do you reckon that could kind of give you guys a bit of an advantage in draft at points? Obviously, it might be different things that are left open that maybe wouldn't be against a normal team.
Maybe not.
I love it.
I could be biased, but I don't even think that this is a problem as we are losing games. The fact that they banned Viktor now, I think it's really relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why it seems like this is the issue, but I don't think it is the issue.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think that then there's, because obviously we've talked about like the really impressive start, but then unfortunately like there has been quite a few losses which have then come after that. So like, why do you think that that's occurring? Because I think you mentioned before that obviously you had like synergy, but now you feel like everybody else is kind of, you know, up to what they should be at to come into the conclusion. Do you think that's kind of it, or do you think that like it's just been just small mistakes, and that the fact that you can actually still turn this round as it comes into the last week? Because I guess it's in this weird position, isn't it? Because I think nobody expected you to be anywhere near kind of like playoffs from like a general perspective. So the fact that you're in this kind of playoff situation, despite having kind of these losses recently, it is like a really interesting kind of thing to see. Well, where are you going to kind of now finish? Because I think either way, I think you've overachieved from what a lot of people were saying was going to happen. But I think it's kind of now seeing, well, because as you know, like Group A is insane. Like you could still finish bottom, but then finish, I believe it's like 3rd, isn't it? So, you know, it's like, what are you kind of like mentally saying to these players, or, you know, going into kind of a very crucial week despite being a few losses down?
Okay, I think you asked like 4 questions with one
Yes.
sentence. So
Yeah,
I
sorry.
will try to respond to everything. So first of all, we don't really care that we overachieved stuff based on the predictions of other people. We only cared about achieving more than we actually predicted ourselves to do. And right now, we're not in that spot, so we obviously want to go there, like playoffs. And I agree that it's so weird what's going on right now, because before the split started, everyone thought that we would finish last place, but then we saw that we can actually go playoff really easily. And now, I mean, then people thought that, okay, this team is for sure going playoffs. And now it's not so certain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, obviously, it's not a few mistakes that are happening right now and cause us to lose games. I can't go so much into detail about this, but I honestly think that the biggest problem we had this split is pretty much making mistakes that are inevitable. And so we are 5 rookies, right? We even have 2 people that played solo queue 3 months ago, and they just now came into competitive, and we just throw them into the NLC all out of a sudden. And there are things that we do wrong in and outside of the game, obviously. Things about how we communicate, the way we make conversations, and the way we criticize it and gameplay and stuff. But let's just say, imagine you have a 3-year-old child, right? You will tell him, do not touch the fire, because you will get burned. Okay, that kid will for sure touch the fire once in his lifetime, and then he will never do it again. This is us right now. We are doing mistakes that need to happen in order to progress, and no matter how much I can warn them, these mistakes are bound to happen, or at least that's how I see it.
I think that's because, like you said, like you're used to like you've gone into this coaching knowing that you want to coach kind of rookies, so it's kind of like you're aware that these mistakes are going to happen.
Oh yes, I was totally aware.
Like now your kind of job to kind of like change these. Yeah,
I was totally aware of these things that might happen and that they were bound to happen. I just thought that we could patch a bit until this point comes, And I think we almost did it, but. We will see next week, obviously, if that was enough. I still think we can totally win the next games, obviously, because we improved some of our mistakes in the last game, even though it didn't seem. I totally think we did. And I don't think we are in a state right now where we can say that, okay, every game is unwinnable at this point. I think we're in a pretty fine state, even after we lost 5 games or 4 games in a row, I think. Because we all believe in each other a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because like and it's refreshing to kind of see someone go into this as a coach and being like, right, yeah, well, I'm here to kind of develop these players and make these players best, and to get the best that we can with the players, these young players, because I feel like sometimes you'll get coaches who will not come on necessarily here, but will talk about, or maybe on Twitter, and say like, oh yeah, we're winning to win the NLC, and realistically, is that actually the goal of what the coach is wanting to do? It's nice to see kind of with regional leagues and with kind of with kind of like ERLs in general, sometimes it isn't just about victories. Sometimes it's about development. It's about finding these next players, and it feels like you've definitely seen the development of some of these Granit players, whether it be individual or on a team basis, despite these losses which are going through. So I think it's refreshing to see kind of a different approach in terms of coaching as well as kind of a team development as well.
Oh yeah, before the split started, it was very clear to everyone what our goal is. It was to stay in the league, of course, and we thought that the biggest thing we could achieve is pretty much getting to playoffs, which is very close to happening, I guess. But yeah, like I couldn't just go to 5 rookies and tell them, okay, we will go to playoffs. I don't think that would help at all.
Yeah, because it's kind of like one of those things. I don't know, but I don't really know why people always do it as well. Like, it's pretty much any team you talk to is like, yeah, we want to go to EU Masters, but it's like, a lot of the time it could be a bit like unrealistic. I suppose it's maybe just the thing of you just aim as high as you can, really, and at the end of the day, they're all all competitors. So I suppose you want to win every match if you can.
And to be fair, it works because like I'm pretty sure when Riddle were telling us, oh yeah, we want to make it to EU Masters, we were a bit like, okay, but there's 2 academy teams, and for them, like they had those goals and they made it, so like we're not saying that obviously like, every team doesn't have like those ambitions. It's nice to see just different teams with different ambitions sometimes as well.
I don't think there was any team in this split that went into the split with the ambition of actually very realistically getting to EU Masters when there are the 2 academy teams. I think Riddle last split had the roster that could contest, and they did actually. But I think we still have pretty good teams in this split, but I don't see a team that is so good where I can say confidently that this team can actually beat one of the academies. But maybe I'm wrong. Like,
well, I think the issue is the fact that like unlike previous splits, like I feel like XL and BT, XL and Fnatic, have basically built teams to win EU Masters. Like they've looked at this and they've wanted to build a team which could compete at like the highest level in EU Masters, not just ERL level, and that's why they changed a lot of their rosters for it. So it's understandable for kind of coaches, and I think we were talking about it in like the tier list as well. It's very it makes sense for coaches to be like, right, okay, well, let's focus on kind of finding these development players and maybe keep them on for another year and develop and kind of work and, try and find these other players, these future players. And I quite like it. And as a result, we've seen some surprising results which have come in, but we've also seen some like surprising players develop and grow, which I think is sometimes even better than having just star players on a team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way to go in this split. Since so many players left for the Italian league, actually, some teams took the opportunity, and this is also a financial plan, right? Because if you can't get EU Masters, why spend so much money? Just spend it on rookies and hope someone will pop off. And I think we have pretty good rookies this split in both groups, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Not just speaking about my team, of course.
And a bit kind of like slightly veering off topic, but I saw actually an interview that Esports News UK did with Resolve's owner Ryze. So Resolve are a team top of the UKLC right now, trying to get into the NLC, and they were kind of even talking about it more sort of long term, that even as like a revenue opportunity for ERL teams, where you could maybe try and get rookies, try to maybe commit to a bit of a longer contract with them, and if they're good enough, maybe you can even like get buyouts and things for them from academies.
I totally agree. I totally agree with his logic. I think it's really pointless to hire someone that is 19 or 18 and give him a 3 months contract. That's so, I don't know how to describe it.
It's because there's no development there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what do you gain there? You gain like a short-term success. If that player plays very well, then you don't gain anything kind of off that if his contract expires and he just goes anywhere else anyway.
It's just the definition of insanity. You get someone that is 19 years old on a 2 or 3 months contract instead of getting a 24 years old guy that is actually better at the game, right? Because this is what we're talking about: 2 months, 3 months. Nothing will change if you get someone that is 24 in 3 months, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get longer contracts, then I suppose age matters. But for 2 or 3 months contracts, I think it's really irrelevant.
Yeah. Well, it's probably, I don't know, I suppose as the scene sort of continues to grow and the ERL still flesh out, we'll see if teams go that way. Because you imagine, they've still got to kind of try and make money at the end of the day. And well, we've seen, obviously it's an extreme example, but with like the perks buyout and everything, the money is there to be made. If you can get a decent player, obviously I don't expect ERL players going for like 5-6 million, but probably something better than what teams are getting now, which is just a bit of sponsorship money to pay the players for those couple of months, and that's it.
1 second, guys. I'm gonna fix my camera.
Okay.
So this doesn't happen again because it's so annoying.
No worries.
I've become Lee on the stream. It's great. I'm the new owner.
Yeah, it looks funny because my one, I have it flipped so that I'm the right way around. So now I'm seeing you like mirrored to what I normally would.
Yeah,
there we go. Back to
maybe it's better now. Let's see.
Okay, cool. Well, just kind of going back to the NLC itself, we kind of hinted at it a couple of times, but just how insanely close Group A is at the moment. So it's literally from, obviously we've got BT, XL and Tricked, who are the top two, by a couple of wins between them. But then literally everybody else is on exactly the same. So we've got yourselves, Dusty, Godsend and Nordavind, all with 3 wins, 5 losses. So literally anyone, in the last week could go from the potentially third.
From relegation to playoffs.
Exactly, from third place or last place and go into the relegations. Who do you see making it where? Because I can't remember who had. I think it might have been when we had Dragdar on a couple of weeks ago, but someone had predicted, I think, Dusty and Nordavind to be the ones to make it, while they were both, I think, 5th and 6th. But then Dusty have kind of started turning things around. Whereas
Let's just not talk about Dusty because
they did Nordavind last week, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe so. Like Dusty are so frustrating because I was very much on the Dusty hype train at the beginning. Yeah, I was like, so this Dusty side, it's great. As soon as I stop predicting them to win, that's when they start winning. I'm fuming. They have it out for me, Dusty. It's because I didn't like them last split, so they're like, right, well, we'll wait. We'll just lose the first few games, so then Tom stops voting for us, and then we'll win everything. But
that's why their whole form is just to spite you, Tom. But yeah, they actually, I suppose the start didn't help the fact that they didn't have their full roster. But then even when they got Legions in, the first week with him still looked a bit rocky. But then the last couple of weeks, just looking back at it now, I think the only team they lost to was Tricked, who were obviously ahead of them in the standings. Do you see Dusty as like the closest competition for playoffs with you guys at the moment? Obviously, as you're still going for it.
It's really difficult to tell because I think on paper and based on the games against the two best teams of the group, which is Tricked and XL, I think Nordavind should be there. But at the same time, I don't believe I'm saying this, but I think Nordavind are actually much more coin flip than us, and that says a lot.
Nordavind have probably been like, I would say that you guys and Nordavind have probably been like the surprises of the season in the terms of
exactly.
The fact that you two have got the exact same record, yet I look at it and I look at Granit as overperforming, and I think Nordavind have underperformed. And I think they'd be honest and they would admit that. Like, you actually look at that roster which Nordavind have got, and I would have expected them to probably be where Tricked are, if I'm being quite honest. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting to see kind of, you know, two teams with the same record, but kind of, you know, different kind of approaches which have gone in, and like I said, I find it really difficult to get Nordavind in the playoffs, because at the end of the day, like, you look at last week, I think Nordavind looked great against Tricked. They beat Tricked, yeah, and then I thought they looked really bad against Godsend. Like, I genuinely, like, it was so, like you were saying, so coin flip. Like, when I saw that Trick game, I was like, that is it. This is the Nordavind which we've wanted. And then Godsend happened. And I'm like, what are we getting?
so Nordavind plays against us and against Dusty, right? Mm-hmm. And Godsend plays against Tricked and against BTXL.
BT, yeah. It's
and
difficult.
Dusty plays against Nordavind and XL. Wait, I just said that, right? No?
Dusty. Yeah, so Dusty's.
I think.
Dusty's XL and Nordavind. Yourselves is
Nordavind Tricked.
Nordavind Tricked. It's all really like pivotal matches in this week, isn't it?
I think it's really difficult to predict the outcome of our game against Nordavind. I think we are the most conflict teams in the game. From one side, Nordavind will play for their lives. I expect them to do that, because if they don't win, they are not going to play us most likely. But at the same time, as we said, they looked really bad against Godsend. So I don't really know what to expect, because at the same time, we looked really bad as well in the last 4 games.
Mm-hmm. I
think Godsend will probably finish last, but obviously it's really difficult to tell because they played really well and they improved so much from the first round. So yeah, it's very difficult to just make predictions for this group at this time.
Yeah, but Trick is. I think I would have more faith in Godsend. I think if it wasn't Trick to BTXL as their final. But I guess there's also like a positive and a negative with that, because like both. Well, but BTXL have confirmed, you know, they're in playoffs. I think they've confirmed to win. So you don't know kind of what BTXL you're going to get there. You know, because they've already, you know, won the group. Well, I think they've confirmed win the group.
Well, I think
I believe so.
Tricked and BTXL are confirmed for playoffs.
Yeah. So I was thinking even XL.
Yeah. So, and then you've got Tricked, who are basically confirmed, aren't they? Like, I would expect that they only need to win one, really.
Yeah.
So it's. But then Tricked have lost 2. So again, it's like, well, what do we expect?
There is still a possibility that Tricked could give games away. I definitely don't expect that.
Yeah.
I think
it would be a fall from grace, because there is a possibility where Tricked don't finish in playoffs, which would be insane.
How?
Yes, I believe that they're not officially locked. I wonder if it goes to head.
No. Because if one team, like, there are 4 teams with 3-5, right? So if one of these 2 teams win the last 2 remaining games, they go on 5-5, and Tricked is 5 games already. So, no.
I wonder how it works, because I think
if one team does 2-0, but if one team does 2-0, then only one other team can do 2-0 as well, right? So there will be 5.
Yes, no, you're right. Yeah.
So it can't happen, I think.
Unless I think it's Dusty which go 2-0 because they're BT and Nort. Oh, so that's it. So again, I guess that kind of confirms like how a Trick's going to take this. So they're going to use this to try new things as well.
On Wikipedia as well. So I suppose they're confirmed already.
True. Oh, but it is confusing because it shows on the other group, it shows Fnatic, Barrage, and Singularity all green, like they're confirmed, and then Tricked is showing yellow still, like maybe they're not. I think they just confirmed they can't go to relegation. Because I'm pretty
Maybe.
sure if
I think that has to be it. That has to be it.
like
So they're at least confirmed for 5th place, maybe.
yeah. So it is crazy. There is a
Bro,
possibility.
let's be honest. The chances are that's not going to happen. Like, I mean, if it does, it's something crazy.
We'll see. Maybe kind of looking over a bit at the other group as well. Just get your thoughts on some of it there. I don't know if you guys watch it too much. I know a lot of the players and stuff don't really watch the other group because they're not playing against them. But yeah, kind of. Is there anyone you've got an eye out for in playoffs already? Seeing as I'd imagine you'd probably be against either Singularity or Kova.
We think we can definitely go to playoff, and we will fight for that until the last game.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Nobody gave up, even with all these bad results.
Yeah.
I think if we go playoffs, we actually have time to fix many of our weaknesses, and maybe we get a chance to win, like to progress at least one round or something.
So have you kind of got an eye on those teams already? Is there potential game plans already in the works?
Not so much, I would say. I think we should spend every last energy we have to win the last 2 games, and then we have time for playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So
fair enough. And yeah, just while we're on the topic of the other team, of the other group, sorry, I suppose one we kind of have to talk on after last week is I suppose how. Well, from our side at least, kind of how disappointing it is to see how M&M are doing. I think we've kind of spoken about it a bit. Obviously, that they haven't looked very good, and obviously really struggling. But then that game against Barrage was just brutal. It was like the 20-minute or so, and I think they only got like 1 kill. And yeah, it's tough to see. Obviously, being a UK org, we're going to be slightly favoured towards them.
I don't know what you're talking about. Team Singularity is a UK organisation now, isn't it? Like they've got what 3 UK players. So
okay, that's what you mean.
So it's essentially, they're essentially a UK organisation now. So
okay, we can say that, I guess.
Yeah, but no.
Okay, but then wait. But then we have to say that Baraz is a fixture organization, no?
No, that doesn't count. That one doesn't count.
It doesn't count. Okay.
It's the Andy Murray effect. No, it's the Andy Murray effect. So Team Singularity are a British organisation because they're winning, but if they were in relegation, Nordic team.
Oh, okay.
Terrible.
Okay. I see.
But I think you're right. I think with M&M, it's like it's just not worked for them again, hasn't it? Like they had the issue. They had the issue last split, obviously with the controversial Monk mid and and how that went, and then they kind of changed things. And I don't feel like there's anything to drastically change in this squad right now in terms of who they could pick up. I think it's just a case of buckle down, and there is a possibility that Riddle go down as well. Like, again, we talk about not confirmed, and while it's not as close as Group A, like M&M could still potentially finish 5th. Or I don't think they could finish. Well, they could finish playoffs, I guess, if they 2-0, and I guess Riddle and
Kova tough week as well, though.
But yeah, who have they got this week?
Singularity and Fnatic.
Exactly. Well, you got to beat the best to beat the best. So,
yeah, it's a tough one. At least I don't know. I hope that they could sort of bring it around for relegations. It's looking more, most likely that they'll be in there. Although Riddle as well, they've got Fnatic and Barrage, so they both got tough weeks. So only 1 win is all it would take for M&M, I suppose, to change it a bit. I don't know if it goes to head-to-head though.
No, wins. They need to wins, no? Because Kova is 3-5 and they are...
Kova is 3-5, so they need 2-0.
Yeah, if they want for playoffs.
Oh, they're
but I think
1-7, okay. I think it's kind of impossible then, not gonna lie.
I think even for to avoid relegation,
they can do it mathematically, no?
Yeah, well, if it goes to head-to-head, I'm pretty sure they beat Kova. Yeah, they beat Kova, so they've actually lost.
Okay, they play against Kova and against Singularity. I think if they win these 2 games and then Kova loses against Barrage and against Singularity, what happens then?
So Riddle are even 1-on-1 with Kova, so it would be probably a playoff if they have equal. So they would face each other. If
Kova loses the 2 remaining games and M&M wins, they play tiebreakers because they are also 1-1 the match against each other.
So we're gonna get more games. That's what we're hearing. We're just gonna get more games.
Hopefully.
So yeah, have you thought of the possibility of like if there is a chance of tiebreaks in your group, or is that not a possibility? Have you
it's
thought
very
of that?
likely, I think, for 3 teams though, not 4, because that can happen. But I'm not sure like which these 3 teams will be. It's very difficult to predict that, as I said. But I think it's.
And so it's kind of focused on the
think it's
games
almost
right
certain
now,
that-
and then
that
if
we will go to
tiebreakers
there.
happen, they happen.
I think
Yeah.
it's almost certain that we will come to that eventually. Maybe us or maybe some other team in our group.
Have you got anything like? Well, I suppose you wouldn't say really, but you might anything sort of locked away, any strats that you're saving for one of those kind of games.
Okay, guys, listen. If you leave Ryze open, we pick it. Okay.
There you go. I think
I was thinking this. I was very much like that. They were banning Ryze before. Like if they don't ban Ryze now, there's an issue. Like there's definitely an issue if they don't ban Ryze at this moment in time. So
maybe a question if there's been some payments going somewhere.
I'd love to see it though. I'd love to see Ryze. But I don't think we're going to see Ryze much
I don't
anywhere.
think we'll see that either, but
Mhm.
it's fine. Even if
Is it? Are we moving to the new patch this week, or is it still?
we will play in the old patch.
Oh, okay, so nothing. Yeah, no sort of meta change or anything just yet.
I mean, I suppose we will not pick Samira with Garen and Sadel, right? You guys don't like the meme from yesterday?
Yeah, like the
Yes,
pause.
I watched it. It was yeah.
This was 220
yeah.
years, I think.
Well, I think the bigger joke was like obviously because it delayed so much, it overlapped with LCS, and then the viewership of the LCS was just like abysmal because everyone was still watching the LEC. So like, I think it was I saw a screenshot of like the French
Fly Quest.
Yeah, I saw a screenshot of like the French LEC broadcast having double the amount of viewers as the main LCS one, which is a bit yikes.
But that like let's be honest, that was I to be fair, I'm not gonna lie. Like when people were talking about the bug, I was like, you could have easily told me that was just a 2020 champion at this point. You could have said, oh yeah, it just does that. You know, like it reminded because obviously I play a lot of TFT. I was just like, oh, TFT Samira's in there because it's what happens every time in TFT. So I just didn't phase me as much. But yeah, when I saw it, like when they actually showed the video of it, I thought that was insane.
Well, I think maybe at this point we could perhaps start going into some predictions for this week. Obviously, we're talking about how tough it might be to predict, so we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Now,
what's the scores? Because it was pretty bad, wasn't it, for some of us? I think on the predictions.
Yeah, I
last week.
I was a little bit ahead, so I was a bit lax with my predictions last week, and I've paid the price because I have a feeling I'm still first. I'm just quickly getting it open now. But it's definitely tight. So I'm first with 32 correct predictions so far. Our guests are second with 30, and then you're third, Tom, with 29. So it's still very close. Obviously, we can go into playoffs as well.
So we are 30. So
yeah,
we're at Tom is 29. Okay, that's an easy. I can for sure beat him.
I never do well in. Why can I never be first in predictions ever? Until it's fine. Just putting that in your head. If you want to make some, rubbish.
So let me start
Yeah.
trying, I guess. So trick against Godsen.
Well,
I really want trick to win, but maybe Godsen can get this. So
we'll see. But
I will give this to Godsen though.
And which one was that for? Sorry, Tricked Godsent, first game.
I will still give this to Godsen. Sorry, tricked. My bad.
Well,
I think Lee, it would be good to go through all of the Group A games because I do think Group A is very much like in the balance. So, I wouldn't mind going through some of those.
Tricked against Godsen, tricked. Granit versus of course Granit.
Hold on, slow down, give us a chance.
I remember there was a guy earlier that this month would be very coin flip. I don't remember who that guy is.
So with Trick Godsend, I'm gonna go for Tricked. Yeah, I think you're right. I think for me, Tricked are not gonna throw this away.
I
Despite
have to
having
wait you
2
guys as well.
losses.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. Don't worry.
I got really excited.
That's all right. But yeah, I'm going tricked as well. I think that's.
I guess.
I think that's a bit of a more obvious one out of the lot. I'm going tricked as well. It's definitely a tough week for Gotten. I don't see him getting any wins, to be honest, unless Tricked or Excel do just I don't have a laugh at one of their last games. Especially, I think there's maybe more chance with the Excel one, because especially if Excel beat Dusty, then they're like 100% locked in first. They've literally got nothing to lose in the last game. I could maybe see them inting it a bit, but I don't know. I don't imagine Godsent really getting a win. So I'm going Tricked. And then the second game is yourselves against Nordavind. Tough one. Coin flip, you said. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Coin flip.
Well, so I'm just gonna get a coin out, and that's genuinely how I'm gonna predict it, Lee. So what are you saying?
I'll go. I'll pander to you, Arag0rne, since you're here. So I'll go Granit. I'll put my trust in you.
Okay. So you want to be heads or tails?
Heads.
Tails. Right. Okay. Right. It's tails. So I'm gonna go for Granit.
Well,
so there we go. Did you say heads? Oh, sorry. Yes, Nordavind.
I said heads.
Unfortunately. Okay. Yeah. No. I will go for the coin has decided Nordavind. I should do this for all of them. I've probably got a better chance of winning predictions this way actually than probably saying I'll go for this team. I think though, genuinely, like, obviously it's a bit of a joke, but genuinely, like, it depends on, I would say, like how Nordavind like kind of square up, because I think that Nordavind, like I said, like player wise should not be in this position in my opinion right now, but like we don't know whether we're going to get them versus Tricked or get them versus Godsent. I think if we get them versus Godsent, I think Granit are going to walk this. And being honest, if we get them versus Tricked, I think it's going to be a lot more harder for Granit. It's like I think it's so. Yeah, I am going to go for Nordavind because the coin had said so.
Yeah, because
that's it.
What are you going then, Arag0rne? I suppose Granit.
Just remember, guys, last time that people predicted us to lose games, we won games. So for us, it's good. You guys predict us to lose, we win. You guys predict us to lose, we get the total impressions.
I did. I predicted you guys to lose against Excel, but just anyway.
That happened.
It happens. Well, I guess I'll put you down for a Granit then. But your own words. You said it's basically a coin flip, so. I suppose we could see it go either way.
Was it Prosper one time who didn't vote for his side?
He was very close to, I think, not voting. It's when he was on Envision in UKLC spring last year, and it was them playing against Fnatic at the time. And I think scrims maybe hadn't gone too smoothly, and he reluctantly voted for Envision to win still.
Sahir did this as well in the tier list. Not your tier list, but another tier list. He predicted us to lose games.
But I guess though it's win-win, isn't it? Because it's like he's either right or he's wrong, and you're doing well. So
exactly.
Yep.
Well, let's go on to the third game then, which is Excel against Dusty.
Excel.
That sure?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Excel.
Okay,
right.
I think that's
joke
the
is that RB.
Yeah. But I don't think they will win against Excel unless Excel win trades, which I don't think they will do. So,
I think that's the case. It's like, unfortunately, I think when you're playing a team as BTXL, I guess it's kind of like, are they going to experiment with kind of like different picks and stuff as they're going into playoffs? I genuinely don't think they are, because I think that both Fnatic and Excel want to just be the best that they can be, and will stick to that. And I think that BTXL will beat Dusty, even though I do think that Dusty is probably one of the strongest sides like competing. I just think strength of schedule is a little bit difficult, but then they got Nordavind next, so we'll talk about that in a second.
I've got a bit of breathing room, so I'll go for Dusty then, just to throw one on the other side, because
spice things up.
Yeah, well, they're the informed team in Group A, really.
you go for Dusty.
Hey. Yeah, well, they've got a few wins in a row, and I'm sure their confidence is flying high, and I don't know, maybe since it's the last week, Excel might take the foot off the gas a little bit. I think if there's a chance Dusty will beat Excel, this is the perfect time. So
Okay, so honestly, if it wasn't for us needing Dusty to lose, I would also say Dusty, because I think it's really better for the league and for the audience if Dusty wins that game instead of Excel, because for Dusty it means so much, and for Excel it doesn't really mean so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
100%. It makes the
As a
next
fan,
day so much
okay.
more interesting.
Let's just say this: as a fan, I want Dusty to win. As a coach, for Granit, I don't want Dusty to win. And as an unbiased fan, I think Excel will win. Okay.
Makes sense. Let's maybe...
Should we just, in the predictions, should we just like split it up into 3 then? Just as a fan, as a coach, as an unbiased fan?
Well, I can do that if you guys want, but...
And you're just guaranteed to win somehow. No, we know that game. Let's move on to day 2 then. There's some games I think we won't go through on air. We can do some of them off air, so we don't go on too long on just predictions.
Or we can just do all without giving an explanation, no?
Yeah, we could just go do them quickly then. So the next one then, M&M against Singularity. I don't think we need much explanation for that. I'm going Singularity.
Singularity, yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So then go into Group B. On day 2, we've got Kova against Barrage. I've gone Barrage.
Okay, I go for Kova because I believe in Outlander.
Damn it! I would have gone for Kova if nobody else went for Kova, but I'm not having 2 people. I'll go for Barrage. I was like, 'cause I need points. I was like, Kova's at least not gonna go. But yeah, I'll go Barrage. British Org, support the British Orgs.
Nice.
I guess. Yeah.
On the topic of British Orgs, then, technically Fnatic bill themselves as a British Org. They're in the next game against Riddle. Any chance for Riddle? Do we reckon? I don't think there is.
Okay, guys, listen. Riddle will win and Bravado will 1v9, okay?
They won't ban Tarek?
Imagine.
Yeah, but 1v9.
Imagine if Fnatic Rising don't ban Tarek. That would just be that would be brilliant. I'm unsure on whether. See, this is such a must-win game for Riddle. I feel like as well. Like if they kind of want to either push into playoffs or just basically confirm themselves as not being relegated, I'm actually gonna go for Riddle here. You know what? I think let's go for it. Let's go for it because you know what? I think there's something about this. There's something about this game which is just screaming the fact that it's just not gonna go like in a simple way, and whether that be like Fnatic Rising get tested by Rizzle or Riddle beat them, but I would like it. Let's have a bit of fun. I'm gonna say Riddle gonna win. Yeah.
Cool. I'll take the 3 points.
Trick versus Granit.
Yeah, so that's the next
Okay.
one. As a coin flip. Who'd you say? Tricked?
Yes, I have to say Trick wins because I said Granit wins in the first game, and if I say that Granit Gaming wins, I will be unbiased. So,
so you're going to make history, the first person to openly predict against themselves.
Okay, guys, listen. Trick will win that game, but we will win your hearts.
You have already. I was going to go Tricked as well. I'll give you against Nordavind, but I think Trick looked pretty good, so I'll go for Trick this one. What do you reckon, Tom?
Oh, he's done this on purpose. I'll go Granite. Go on,
No.
I believe in Granite. Let's do this. Last game for Granite. They win it.
But remember,
Beautiful.
you're lacking predictions. That means that we will lose.
You just don't want to jinx it by saying you're going to win, then, basically.
Well, it's my redemption arc and it's Granite's redemption arc at the same time. So this is the last game.
I believe in your prediction. We will make you proud. Okay.
Cool. Then the last game that day is another from Group A, and obviously another one that's really important for the playoffs and relegations as well. Is Nordavind against Dusty. So, like we've been saying, Dusty obviously improving. Nordavind still just, you literally have no clue what to expect from them.
So, here's the thing. If we win against Nordavind, they will lose that game as well. I think if Northern wins against us, they will lose that game, most likely.
So they're going to lose that game then, basically.
I think Dusty will win, but yeah, who knows?
See, I'm going to go for a Dusty win, and I've just realised that I feel like I've gone 1-1 for every single one of these 3 for 5 teams at this point. But yeah, no, like I think it shows the unpredictability of it. Like, because I look at that and I think, yeah, like Dusty for me, probably going to lose to BTXL, let's be honest. But like, I don't think that kind of merits how good I think Dusty have been recently. However, this might be the kiss of death for them because I haven't predicted them since they started winning. So I am going to go for Dusty though. I do think right now that they may just be better than the Nordavind just
but
overall.
For that game, I can't really say as a call, because I don't know how this match affects our placement, because it's the second game. So I don't know that if Dusty wins, we are safe or we get to playoffs or something like that. I don't even know. Like, so I can't predict.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. I can't be biased. Unfortunately.
How just out of interest, like how are you happy to be playing kind of 2 days in a row? Because obviously you've got the likes of obviously Godsent have got difficult teams, but they're playing Tuesday and Thursday. Do you think it doesn't really matter though?
Not really. But I understand why this happens of the format, and I don't think the format of the league is bad. I think it can be better, but it is also in a fine state right now, just because of the number of the teams. I think it's really difficult to change it. So I don't really want to complain. Yes, it's difficult, but I don't want to complain about that.
It's like you could have, I don't know, a cup format, to deal with, which the UKLC very much love.
Wait, my camera is so. Game camera open. Thank you. Okay, we can have everything besides the format of the Forge of Champions and UKLC in the first splits. That's it.
I love hearing people's outside opinions on this because it was terrible.
If you listen to me, don't do that again, please.
Cool. Just won't bring it up again. I don't think I actually gave my prediction. I'm going to go for Nordavind. Mainly because I was the only one to say they beat Trick last week, and that was against an informed team. They're against an informed team again, so I'm just going to hope that lightning strikes twice, and they beat Dusty. But it's one of those where, like Dusty, I suppose on form look better, but then still in those games where we see what should be like the real Nordavind, they do look quite good, and they look like a team that should be able to beat Dusty. So it's really hard to call, I think. But I'll go Nordavind. I'm still a couple of points ahead, so I've got some breathing room. If we go on to day 3 then. What's that?
Oh no, wait. It's Godsent versus BTXL, sorry.
Yeah, so Godsent XL, the first one. I've got XL.
BTXL.
Yeah, I've gone XL. Sorry, Godsent. It's really tough ties for you.
Yeah. I still think Godsent is a really good team and they improved a lot. And even when we beat them in the first match, I never thought that they were a bad team. But I can't give it to them.
No,
even if they, I don't see them beating XL.
I do think though, like obviously thinking outside of kind of players, so more into kind of like the relegation playoffs anyway. I would say that it's going to be hard for one of these teams to get relegated in Group A. I think like the level is a lot higher, kind of in terms of the
in Group A
overall
deserves to get relegated.
Yeah, I agree. I think with the way of how competitive it has been as well, it kind of highlights that all of them deserve their place in there. Group B with Riddle and M&M is a little bit more contentious, I would say. But like, I can't imagine anybody in Group A getting relegated.
I think 2 teams from Group B deserve to get relegated. But okay, honestly, I don't think there are any bad teams in NLC. I think it's fair to say that assumption. I just think like since someone has to get relegated, I think it should be 2 teams from Group B if we say that okay, this team deserves and this team doesn't deserve, But this is the format, so we can't do anything about that. We just have to play.
Yeah,
true. And they get.
We've got some strong teams.
I think it's really fair.
We've got some strong teams as well.
I think groups were maybe not of equal strength, but the way they are made, it's really balanced, and I really like that from NLC.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to be fair, I think, like we're saying, Group A looks kind of stronger, but then I suppose, you know, teams like yourselves and maybe obviously Nordavind have kind of made it a bit weird because they've been not as good as we expect, but there's a couple of sides like yourselves, maybe Godsent, that have been a bit better than we kind of expected. So I suppose it's ended up kind of a bit more of just a generally sort of higher standard. Going on to the next game though, on day 3 then, game 2 is Singularity against Kova, another one that's kind of a top team versus a bit more of a lower down team. But actually, they're only one place in the standings between them and a couple of wins. So, you know, we could, in a world, see Kova overtake them even on the last day, which would be pretty crazy.
Yeah. I think Kova can win this, but Singularity will win this in the end.
I reckon they will as well. I think they've looked pretty good. They obviously, didn't have a great week though, Singularity. So maybe their heads have dropped a bit. You never know.
I think the only way they...
Well, the bad week was against Barrage and Fnatic Rising though. So it's like, it was a bad week, but they lost to two sides who, you know, probably if we actually looked at overall, I would say are probably better than them. So it's not like, it's a bad 2-0, but it's not like the worst. It's bad 0-2, but it's not the worst 0-2. You know, and it's something that they can still improve on in playoffs. I don't think they're losing to M&M and Kova though in this week.
I think the only reason, the only way Singularity loses that game is if they draw draft, which I don't think they will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And wait 1 second. I think so. Singularity and Kova will have both played one game before that game, right? So everything will be pretty much decided now. So I don't think neither team will go with the mentality that okay, we need to win. And
no,
like let's say Singularity would play against another team, okay? They would have in their mind that if they don't try hard and they don't win, they might let another team progress and they fuck up someone else, you know. But now they literally play with a team that can't get fucked up by anyone. Sorry for the language, but so I think both teams will just go there. They will just pick random champions and then they will just enjoy themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of
fun. I think there's not as much pressure, is there, as what there is on Group A in the sense of things. I think that maybe with Kova though, because obviously Kova are playing Barrage, so they still maybe contending for not for playoffs at this point. It depends on if they beat Barrage in the game the day before. So I think Kova do have a little bit more to play with, but I think as soon as Singularity or if Singularity beat M&M, I don't think that there's much pressure on them after that anyway. And they've confirmed for playoffs anyway, so it's not there's no pressure really on that side.
Mm-hmm.
If I was coach for both these teams, I would roll swap, not gonna lie. I would I would actually pay for them to leave Ryze and Viktor open, so we actually pick them both on the same game, two players. That's for the names.
Who would have who?
So Sahira would have something like the most anti-Sahira champion. I don't know. Let's say Udyr mid lane. Then Galben would play Ryze, and then probably Tamos would play Viktor, because apparently he's better mechanically than Sahira because he beat him 5 times in 1v1. So
well, we'll see then. Maybe if things go well and you're locked in for playoffs already by the time you play against Tricked, then we hope to see that come out.
I wish we were, because we would actually do that. Not gonna lie.
Maybe next split then.
But we would only do that if it didn't really matter for the other teams as well, because we don't want to fuck around.
Yeah, true. And I
think that's the unwritten code as well, isn't it? It's like you want to have fun, but then you're also like, well, I don't want to kind of like ruin someone else's shot of going through, just because
unfair to everyone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough. Going on to the next game then, M&M against Fnatic, probably the most one-sided match on paper that is possible in the league right now. Any chance M&M scrape a final win in their last game?
Oh yes, they will stop Fnatic.
No.
I believe in them.
You going for M&M?
Yeah.
Please do. Yeah. Okay. 3 point. 3 point.
I think they will win that game.
What's the thought process?
No, I can't see it.
Air will carry.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's how they've won their other games, so like, it does make sense.
Yes, I think Air will carry.
Do you have that kind of hope, Tom?
No, Fnatic Rising. Come on, Lee. Like, I'm here for points.
Also, wait a minute.
Ruthless.
I think so far, I gave you guys wins. Besides the, like, if we can exclude the predictions I made for the academies, I think I never gave you guys from the UK a prediction. So I just want to give this to you as well.
I think the worst thing is though is that like I believe it was Dragdar. Dragdar was very much like saying like, "Oh yeah, I just predicted this fun," you know, and then his predictions. I think he got the most predictions out of everybody. So genuinely, most of the times that's what happens.
Yeah, I agree. That's what happens most of the time.
Well, let's see if that happens for the last game as well. Last one's Barrage against Riddle. Another one that should seem fairly straightforward, but you never know. It's the last game of the regular season. You know, if things are wrapped up by then already, especially Barrage that are already in playoffs. You know, you never know.
I'm gonna go Riddle. Come on, I have faith in Riddle. Sorry, Barrage.
I have a crazy prediction. Okay, I predict Riddle to win, but they will do something crazy. They will, I don't know, funnel or something.
Well, because it could be like, I mean, yeah, if it's the last game, if M&M somehow get a win and Riddle need it, they might need to just pull out something mad. Yeah.
No, that's okay. I don't predict this, but I want something like that to happen for that game. I really do, and I really hope.
Just want to play fun. If I see Funnel, I'm switching this game off. I'm just gonna go away for 40 minutes. You know, I hated Funnel. I guess it'd be fun to see it kind of just come back for one time, but
still. The only fun thing to see about the final is seeing the enemy team suffering. That's the only fun thing to see.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was like fun for like Faker playing Tarek mid, and yeah, it was a weird one.
I mean, they've got the Tarek player, so
exactly, yeah, they've got the perfect run for it, haven't they? So we'll see. That's it on the predictions then, and to be fair, that's
what are you predicting, Lee? Lee, you jumped out that one. What are you predicting?
Yeah, well, I want to win, so I'm going Barrage. That's it.
Yeah, well,
okay, I'm going Tricked.
Tricked against who?
Against Barrage. Oh wait, sorry.
I mean, you could put Tricked on the. We could put it on the graphic if you want.
That would be a wild prediction.
Just somehow
something would have to go weird for that. Right, we'll put you down for Riddle then. But yeah, that's it on the predictions then. That's kind of all the topics I had, to be fair. Is there anything else anyone wants to chat about? Anything on your mind?
I want to chat a little bit, and I know we don't talk about LEC too much.
My fan base is in the chat right now.
I want to talk a little bit about MagiFelix. So we talked about it a little bit before. We talked about potential revenue streams of players who could potentially come in, get sold for a little bit of money. It kind of makes me think, well, could Fnatic have just kept MagiFelix? Because it looks like they could have got something for him, because he's gone straight to Astralis. Obviously, you've got you've seen the likes of free agents, like Crown Shot coming in as well for Vitality, and I think that kind of emphasizes the fact that sometimes it might be good to have these players on contracts and not just run out, because it made easy free agent options. But it's nice to see MagiFelix in the LEC finally. Obviously, been at Fnatic Rising for a few years now. I think, well, no, not few.
2 years.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, so it's really nice to see him kind of in Astralis and actually performing, I would say, as well as you can do on Astralis is what I would probably quote it as.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose it was nice for him. Corki was like a bit of a comfort pick to start with, and it was funny actually, because I don't remember. I don't know if it was on Reddit or if it was even on the broadcast or something where I saw it, but they were just kind of saying like, he's obviously going to struggle because Corki and the champs he likes aren't in the meta at the moment, and they just played him anyway. And he was obviously, I think they lost the second game, didn't they? But still,
I found it so funny. I found it so funny that he was obviously the first Corki game he played brilliantly, and the second Corki game, I'm not gonna lie, didn't play bad, you know. But when your team's 8k down and you're 0-0-0, you're like, well, what am I meant to do here? Like, genuinely, I think they were talking about that they like at least broke the record in the LEC this season for like biggest goal deficit in 15 minutes, and then they were like 15, no, not 15k goal, but it was like 10k goal down in 15 minutes, which is just. As a core kit as well, you just don't want to see that. You just want to see kind of nice lanes, even gold, and then win late game, or win mid game anyway. But I just felt so bad for MagiFelix in that second game.
Well, because I saw people on Twitter saying, saying he was like playing for KDA as well at that point. But then with Corki, it's just like it's a late game champ, isn't it? He's meant to not do too much. Obviously, with you can use your rocket to help with Drakes and that every few minutes, but it's meant to be like kind of.
The Drakes do so much damage, like they do so much damage in late game because of the AP scaling as well.
Yeah, so it's meant to be kind of.
It just the issue is. Well, the issue is that Misfits late game came in like 20 minutes, so it's like the Stralis couldn't do anything. But yeah, no, I just wanted to say that it's nice to see a MagiFelix actually in the LEC for a change. He's obviously been in the NLC for a while now, and in the UKC with Fnatic Ryze. So nice to see him do well. Nice to see Dan. I feel like we should just do an update of kind of like Dan. Nice to see Dan kind of do well. I think he's proved a lot of people wrong. A lot of people were expected to be like bottom tier jungler, which I don't think was right. I think he's done very well.
Let's just consider that Dan was the sub for Fnatic for almost 2 years or something, and he was also one of these 3 years he was living in the gaming house with them, so he must have learned so much from Fnatic on how to live in a gaming house, how to behave, like insides of LEC scrims. That guy learned so much there, and he proved everyone wrong. But
and I think people forget that Youngbuck was the person which brought Dan in, I think, into the academy. So obviously now Youngbuck at XL, obviously Youngbuck must have a high opinion on him. I believe that's right. Anyway, I believe that it was just before Youngbuck left that Dan came into Fnatic Rising. So either way, he has like a high opinion on him either way there. So it's nice to see kind of things like that happening, and it's nice to see kind of development, and rookies still developing, and that's why ERLs are so great, because you just see development every year. I think the same conversation happens of, oh well, we've lost like Alfari, we've lost like everybody else, going to like NA, or there's this new breed of talent which comes in, and it's always the question of, are they ever going to be as good enough as what was like the predecessors? And it seems that every year it seems to be.
Let all the players like Alfari go to NA, get money or whatever they are looking for, and then we get new talents. So, because this whole system, it seems like it's working, right? So, now if NA had like, let's say 20, 25 players at the level of Alfari more or less, and they would import them to Europe, then I would say, okay, these guys have a problem because they don't have talents to fill in the void, but we do. So, it's fine.
I think,
and I don't know if any of you guys have heard, but the rumor about the import rule, isn't it? I think it was Travis Gafford saying that some of the NA teams want the import rule going. I'm like, they just can't. You just can't do that. Like, you can't. That's really bad. Like, don't do that.
That's a big deal for me, because franchise was built under this foundation that they will not relegate, so they can develop talent, and now, after they got the franchise they wanted, the owners, now they're like, okay, give us import. We don't care about what we agreed 1 year ago. Just give us import so we can pay 5 million seats and just get stomped at Worlds every year.
Exactly. It's just a joke, really. Like, I don't know. They've got it good enough already. Like, they got the Australians this year as well. I
don't know if it's true. Maybe it's not true.
I think it is all rumored and stuff like that. So I don't think it's going to happen. Even if they're interested, I don't think it's going to happen. Because I feel like if you're going to do that, you have to do it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You have to do it everywhere. Nobody will sign up for this. And teams like and regions like Korea or China who don't have imports, they would be like, whatever, we don't care. We don't have imports anyway.
Yeah. Plus, like, half the imports have been there so long, they're just residents now anyway. Like, TSM's literally got one NA player. Like, they just,
I think Speaker.
Yeah. So eventually the teams just have full imports. It's not going to make that much difference to the end of it anyway. One thing I want to say, just going back to the Dan topic as well, that I really like about it. So one of the things that people had said, that were saying he was going to be crap, was that like, oh yeah, because he's been around for a number of years already, and that being something kind of against him. But I think it's good. It kind of shows that the development can be over a number of years, because it's like, it's not. I don't get. It's kind of got this idea around League where if you get a slight sniff of a chance, in your first couple of years, and you're not the best player in the LEC, then you're never going to be, basically. And the fact that someone spent years in the ERLs is supposed to be seen as like a bad thing. But it's like, when you look at normal sports, people train from the time they're a kid to the time they're an adult for like 10, 15 years before they're at their peak. So, I'm not saying that, we have to be having people in the academy for 15 years before we put them in the LEC. But, the fact that Dan can show that a few years can actually help you, and you can make it and be good, I think is really beneficial.
That's the thing with Dan. You say that people are saying that he's below LEC for so long, but that's the thing. Like in 2017, he was on Fnatic Academy, then he played like EU Masters, and then he was like again on Fnatic for almost 2 years, and now on Excel. Like he's literally sitting on the LEC doorstep for 2 years now. He needs to go through at least once,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's justified.
Yeah, I agree. And it's same with MagiFelix. Eventually, it was only going to be a matter of time before he got the shot. I think as well is that like we're getting to this point with League of Legends where like you look at VTO for example.
I think it's a really good thing that it happened, but I think it's not quite the same, because the way Dan and MagiFelix got into the LEC, this split is very different, because MagiFelix might as well stay in the Fnatic Academy, but they wanted to get they want to get leader in case Niski underperforms and leader rejected, and also what is it? The name of the other guy? Diplex. They also want to get that guy. So I don't see intention of Fnatic wanting to keeping him, but of course I don't say this because of knowledge. I just assume this.
Yeah.
But I'm actually surprised that no other team contracted MagiFelix for the LLC. Like I could definitely see him playing instead of Nukeduck in Astralis roster, for example. And maybe
it's his opportunity as well, isn't it? It's that kind of opportunity, and I think a lot of people are kind of saying, like, especially people who have been rooting for him, like they kind of, it's unfortunate, but they're kind of just wanting to see him do the best that he can do, in the sense that essentially he can get another LEC offer. I know it sucks for Astralis, but maybe Astralis then builds it or something like that. But I'm very much seeing the things of like, don't play towards the team, just play the best. Show off the best you could do and be the best you could do in that situation, especially because it's almost short term. We don't know how long Nukeduck's going to be out for, and that situation around that. So I guess it's a really different situation. But what I was saying with kind of like Academy, with what you're saying with like Dan, but like you have like two types now. So you have like I never say his name, like VTO, who's like 18. Like Prodigy, they've just put him in straight away. And I would say that that's more like the traditional way of what was doing things before, in the sense of like, oh, you've got this young and upcoming prospect, let's just put him in. But then you've also got the players like Dan, who are like, right, well, he's got the talent, he's got the the mind for it. Let's just build on that. And I like to see the two differences and seeing both of those, because I don't think one of them is the ideal way of bringing up a talent. I think they're both good in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important thing about bringing talent into the next step is pretty much the way they are approaching the game, like not just gameplay, but how they behave outside of the game as well. They need to be aware of what they can do, what they can't do in a competitive environment, and that's pretty much the coach. The coach's job to do it. So, for example, I would take someone who knows how to behave, and that I know that it's really worth putting in the effort to make him a better player, gameplay wise, instead of someone that is like really, really good, and that's about it. But I'm not saying that that's not the way as well. I think the second example I just mentioned is pretty much what every team is doing right now in the ERL scene, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they're just trying to find out the next caps in ERLs and then maybe sell him. And yeah,
I suppose it's a bit of a tricky one, like, because it just depends what each side is their kind of goal is, I suppose. And maybe some teams that
Yeah,
just
exactly.
want to win things, and that's kind of the main goal. But
I mentioned that.
Yeah.
For example, if you want to win the league, and you have to decide between 5 guys that are really aware and know how to behave and play the game at a pretty decent level, and you have like 5 guys that maybe don't know how to behave so much, but somehow they play good together, and they are all really, really good individually. I think the team B, let's say, has more possibility to win the game instead of to win the league instead of team A, in that sense.
Definitely.
But if we're looking at long term, of course, team A is the way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think
it's nice to see the differences with teams as well, all the way down from ERL level, as we talked about right at the beginning. Yeah, we're seeing it in LEC, but we're also seeing it in ARLs as well. And I think it's great to see this ecosystem develop.
Something really important. I think having a team of mixed, like these two mentalities, is a really good way to lose the split as well. I think you either have 5 guys that are pretty much aware, as I said, or 5 guys that are really good, and yeah, that's just it. Because if you have people from both of these sides in the same team, they have contradicting behaviors.
Yeah,
and that can lead to many problems. Like, that are almost always not easy to get fixed, or let's say impossible to fix as well in such a short amount of time, like 3 months or 2 months, whatever the split is, the time of the split, as I said.
I think that's something maybe would sort of change as kind of as the scene gets more fleshed out. Because I know like, and there may be other teams that do it, but I'm maybe just not aware of them. But I know like Barrage, when they do their rosters, their guy AJ there does like behavior. I don't remember exactly how they've like described it or worded it, but it's like they'll have someone who, you know, as they're doing tryouts, will actually just be focusing on how the players communicate with each other to make sure their personalities actually match and kind of blend well together, rather than just 5 players that look good in the game. Yeah,
that's really important. I don't want to give so much credit to myself, but I think this is the first team I make that has players that can actually play together. And I think I will speak in behalf of a lot of people here, but when I first saw these guys play, I said to myself, who are these 5 randoms and why do they play so well together? And apparently they did play well together for a period of time, and they still do.
Cool. Hope to see it continue, and for the last week. I think it's maybe a time to start wrapping up then. Is there any final thoughts anyone had before we finish up?
Okay, guys, listen.
No, I'm all question out.
We will go to playoffs, okay? That's for sure.
Yes.
I like the
clip it.
Yeah.
We are coming, Northern and Tricked.
Cool.
We are coming for you.
Look out. Well, nice. On that then, just before we finish, we'll just take a quick look at what's been going on in the UKEL. Of course, they do kindly host us here. So if we just have a quick look at how the table is looking after the games finished up yesterday, we see Demise there, still at the top, but they have been beaten now. No longer unbeaten, taken down by Hive. That looked like a bit of maybe even complacency in the draft, from what I can maybe tell. I think Hive got given like Udyr and Renekton, which was like a bit mad. Plus Vayne God had his Vayne. So maybe a bit of complacency there from Demise.
The coach of Demise Academy is the best coach in the world, okay? He will carry them until NLC. I believe in him.
We'll see. Well, they could just put him in the UKLC then. He's only got to go out one place.
Yes. Put him there. Yes.
We'll see what happens then.
Shout out to Phobos. He's also Greek, so yeah. I have to shout out my boys.
There you go. That makes sense. But we see that the kind of middle pack that were all 3-3 last week has kind of split up a bit as well. So yeah, we actually see the league sort of taking shape a bit more as we go into the last couple of weeks. And coming into week 5 then, if you just take a look at the upcoming games. On Thursday, starting at 6 p.m, we've got Mythos against LDN to start off with, both 3-5 at the moment, so you know, all to play for there. And then Vipero against Lucendi, Nerd Rage against Hive, and then we've got a top versus bottom with Demise Academy against Monster Rugby Gaming.
That's all I want to see, Lee. That's all I want to see. Demise versus Munster. That's the one. This is the upset. This is when Munster win it. This is when Munster win it. Come on, I believe in them.
Well, they picked up their first win recently, so you never know. And Demise, I don't know, maybe a bit shaky after losing to Hive. If there's any chance to nick a win off them, it's now. So tune in on Thursday to see how that goes. And then with that, I think we're pretty much finished up for the episode. So thanks for coming on, Arag0rne. Good luck in playoffs, I'll say.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah,
thank you.
No worries. And for those that are still watching on Twitch, you can of course follow UKL on here. We're usually live every Sunday, usually a couple of hours later, so we usually start at 4 p.m. So that's the normal time you can see us. Otherwise, if you're watching or listening later on YouTube and Spotify, you can follow there too. And you can follow us all directly on Twitter as well. Our Twitters are all on the screen, so feel free to drop us a follow.
Follow me as well.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Follow Arag0rne, please.
Yeah.
Follow.
Definitely.
I need the followers.
Same, actually. So
I know how important followers are for the UK scene, so I need to have as much as I can.
Cool. And with that then, that'll be it. Thanks for watching.